your official home for everything CORT. You're tuned in to the fastest show in sim racing, the CORT Report, your one-stop shop for news pertaining to the CORT Trading Paints Championship Series, the CORT National Series, and anything else happening in the world of CORT. And now, the two guys who will bring it all to you, David Amboys and John Dragonetti. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to this week's edition of the CORT Report. And we are back. We got out of our basement hole that people were keeping us in. I am your host, David Amboys, and that is...
John Dragonetti. Forgot.
Yeah, he got out too.
Yeah.
Before we get going, couple pieces of business I would like to state before we get going. One, I don't appreciate being put in the basement, tied to a office chair, and put a dirty sock in my mouth. I did not appreciate that. And those who have done it will definitely be prosecuted for it.
They deserve it at this point.
They absolutely deserve it.
That was terrible. That was the worst.
Horrendous.
That and that welcome how to set up your DVR video. That was torturous.
Oh, that was the worst, and it was on loop. How to set up your TiVo. It was horrible, horrendous, infuriatingly horrendous. Secondly, we're recording this at 9 o'clock on Tuesday, February 12th, and this Broner guy, or whatever his name is, it is Broner, right? Droner. I'm thinking of the other guy. This guy is pretty messed up right now.
To say the least.
He's not in a good spot, but well-deserved not in a good spot.
Yeah, he's gonna be dead.
Yeah, he'll probably be dead. But we're not here to talk about ex-LAPD cops going rogue. No. We're here to talk about the Championship Online Racing Team's National Series NAPA 300 at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. And John.
Yes.
That was a hell of a finish.
That was easily probably one of the best finishes we've had in our short history so far. That was an amazing final 20 laps, to say the least.
Absolutely. Mike Husby was leading with less than 10 to go again. It seems as if he is just able to win these races if they were 10 laps shorter. If it was 115 laps, he'd be set.
I don't know. Even in that case, he'd probably find a way to lose.
Yeah, probably more than likely. But Husby surrendered the lead to his teammate Pete Engelmanis, and Pete came home with the victory.
Yeah, it was pretty clear in the final closing laps who was going to come out on top, because he did not want to be denied. And he went and he got it. And my God, he raced his tail off to get it.
An exciting three-car battle for the win. Mike Husby finished second. And, man, that dude needs to win a race for goodness sake. It's getting frustrating watching him just not be able to do it.
Giggity. Not only that, but also fornicate. As it is Valentine's Day coming up in 2 days here.
You people in relationships do not need to remind me of that crap. Honestly.
I'm sorry.
Yes.
If it makes it any better, never mind. Yeah, never mind.
No, nothing makes it better. Nothing makes it better.
Just nice Haagen-Dazs.
Dakota Herman finished third. Yeah.
Fine.
Dakota Ehrman finished third, and he led 26 laps to his third place finish. Good run for him, and man, ever since he's come over to CORT, he's had some good runs.
Yeah, I think his last three have been third, first, third. So really interesting to see what happens at Talladega this week. Maybe first, who knows? I don't want that to happen because I want to win for once.
313. That is a Detroit area code, if you're wondering. Matt Harrington finished fourth, so Smoke Racing with a 3.45.
I'll take it. That's not exactly what I wanted. I wanted a 1, 2, 3 because I honestly have never ever gotten that. I think it'd just be cool to say, "Hey, did it once." But yeah, nonetheless, don't hate on me. He had a good run. He was a little bit edgy at times. But, I'm confident we're going to stick with him. So he'll improve here. He's still learning.
Absolutely, and there's nothing to be ashamed about. I believe he is still in the top 5 in points. In fact, he's 3rd right now, so still pretty good for him. You finished 5th.
Uneventful, to say the least.
Kept the points lead up, just kept your nose clean, just got to the finish.
It's all I wanted, because that track was incredibly loose early in practice and somehow got incredibly tight. So it was kind of hard to bear with.
Absolutely, absolutely. Sean Burke making his CORT debut, driving for O'Toole Motorsports. A good run for him in his debut. He came home 6th.
Oh, yeah, he was strong. He was up there in the top 5 all race and just kind of got mired back a little bit on a green flag stop. But definitely, we can't wait to have him back. He was very clean, very quick. So we hope to see more of him soon.
Joseph Cervone came home 7th.
Another solid but quiet run. Even though he had 2 laps down, he still was pretty quick in practice, quick in qualifying. Just, didn't play out quite how he wanted.
Jumped up to 2nd in practice at one point last Wednesday night. Kyle Young came home 8th. Another good run, or not really a great run for Kyle, but he's hanging in there.
Yeah, he had about the same thing as Cervone. He showed some speed and kind of mistimed, I think, one pit stop, and it just kind of threw off the whole race for him.
Patrick O'Toole came home 9th. Good top 10 for him.
Yeah, he seems to be another guy of consistency, another top 10, just quietly kind of sitting there. He can probably make a run. Probably at Talladega. I know he really likes that track, so it'll be interesting to see what he can do there.
I'm looking forward to seeing what his O'Toole Motorsport bunch can do next week. Or tomorrow, I should say. I came home 10th. It was a rough night. I don't want to talk about it. Cody McCorkle, 11th.
Yeah, he's still working on it. He's still got a lot to learn, but I know he's got a lot of potential. Just got to bear with him a little bit.
Will Roberts, or Will Robers, or Roll Tide came home 12th.
Yeah, I don't think he had quite the run he wanted. I know he had a little bit of engine trouble and had an incredibly quick car. I think he had the fastest time in the race.
Yes, he did.
Yeah,
it was 29.755, which was the only time in the 7s, so he had a really quick car.
I think he was about a 10th quicker than even the second fastest car on the track.
Yeah, absolutely. He was hauling the mail on Wednesday for sure. And Matt Trace finished 13th. Tough break for him.
Definitely, but still early this season. You really can't count anybody out at this point.
Yeah, the points battle may look like it's starting to pull away. You are, but honestly, if you look on back, it's still a pretty exciting fight. 32 points over Husby. You are. Then it's 36 back to the leader for Matt Harrington, 42 back to me, and 43 back to Cody McCorkle. And that points battle, and we're heading into one of the last restrictor plate race of the season, Talladega.
Sad face. I wish there were more of them.
I'm glad there aren't any more of them.
Ah.
I am not a fan of those big ovals with the turning. I'm not a big fan of them.
Well, why not?
No, I've honestly never been a fan of restrictor plate racing. I just don't like the driving. I'm not a fan of any of the packages that we've had in the past, and I'm certainly not a fan of the package that we have right now.
So it is kind of it's kind of a hard thing to get a handle of. But I guess to put it best with the freaking Darrell Waltrip, it's like a game of high-speed chess.
Oh, there's oil! There's oil all over the racetrack. There's oil.
Earl? There's Earl?
Oil.
Earl.
Anytime Darrell Waltrip is mentioned on this podcast, we need Darrell Waltrip going, oh, there's oil! He is so bad. Darrell Waltrip is so bad.
Yeah, it's a shame.
I mean, he was. If you go back, and we're getting way off topic because we need to fill time, but if you go back to like 2001, 2002, early days of the Fox deal, he was good. He was really good. He was giving analysis. He's like, oh, that's wheel hop. That's when the wheel starts hopping. That's wheel hop. Now it's just like blatant favoritism toward Dale Jr. and Kyle Busch.
Now, it's just one of those things. When you get older, you become senile. And heck, look at John Madden. He's a nutcase.
Well, John Madden doesn't do football anymore, and I think that's to the detriment of the NFL.
I'm sure they're so sad.
You should definitely be back in the booth to tell me that's where the tight end lines up. Yeah, we headed to Talladega this week. I'm not a fan of it. You are. Tell me why you're a fan of it.
Why do fat children like eating cake?
Because it's good.
Exactly. I like racing. I don't know why. It's just, it suits me. I don't know. It's kind of hard to explain. It's just something about it that I've just always enjoyed.
Well, in my case, I'm oddly enough, that's the place where I got my only sim racing win, ironically enough, and I am not a big fan of it. Just hasn't been one of those places that have been very kind to me in the past. And not only that, but I just am not a fan of the very tight, close quarters racing. But you know what? Compared to our trading paints races that we have, and by the way, that starts back up April 1st, CORTRacing.com. Although if you're probably hearing this, you probably know about CORTRacing.com and the fact that the season starts April 1st. But the racing that we did in the Trading Paints series really prepares you for this kind of racing, because this racing in these cars is a lot easier than the Trading Paints series on a mile and a half.
Oh, definitely. I think I can't really add to that because you hit the nail on the head. I mean, you got it.
Speed's reduced, wider turns, honestly, and not only that, but you can rub. You can run into the guy. You can go, "Hey, I'm here," and
Boom.
not be feeling any sort of consequence for it. It's definitely better running these wide open types of places in these cars compared to the Trading Paint series, which has a bunch of additions of wide open racetracks next season,
which is going to be fun.
Yes, absolutely. As you can go ahead and check that out at CORTRacing.com. We got a really nice post by our crew over at CORTRacing.com. D. Damboys wrote it. That was not me. Okay, it was me. And yeah, it's a very nice post about all the tracks of CORT, a nice little backstory on each one, and a little history as to what happened there last season. If it's a repeat date, if it isn't, then get to find out what you need to look out for when we head there. Some key additions, John. Key additions to the schedule will be we head to Sonoma Raceway in Sonoma, California. We also have a to-be-announced date of either the Auto Club Speedway, Willow Springs International Raceway in California, Las Vegas Motor Speedway, and Montreal, the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve.
Yeah, I think of all those, me personally, I really hope that Montreal comes out soon, because that track is incredibly fun. It's always been fun. Great in F1, great in, I guess, Nationwide Series while it was still there, even though Jacques kind of raced over. So,
what are you talking about? He's a Canadian hero. Don't worry, Canadians hate Jacques Villeneuve. But continue.
Nonetheless, it fosters good racing. So I can only hope that if we get there, we get the opportunity to race there, and it'll produce the same result, because it is an amazing track, just all around.
Well, court officials have been discussing with the Automobile Club de l'Île Notre Dame, there again, I'm breaking out my French, for multiple months, and we absolutely are in talks, preliminary talks, of getting a race on the schedule. It's just a case of if it's early enough, if there's enough time in preparation for them to prepare an event to court standards, so that we can run at the Speedway. Willow Springs is a very fringe possibility. It does not appear as if we will be able to head to Willow Springs. Very difficult. We haven't done a location scout of the place yet. It is a fallback method. Auto Club Speedway, formerly California Speedway, Fontana, is also looking very unlikely, unfortunately, which leaves us with the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Kind of a touchy subject, not gonna lie, but we will take every precaution for the safety of the drivers when we run at Las Vegas.
And, I had the ability to test there a little bit earlier. Oh, not earlier. Oh yeah, I guess earlier in the off season, and it's fun. I understand why they went there, but at the same time, due to the circumstances that occurred, 2+ years ago, how it's a little bit like teetering between should we, shouldn't we? But it is a fun place, so I can only hope we go back and give it another chance, because it's definitely well worth it. Just think the circumstances around what happened before were kind of freak in nature.
Absolutely, I will agree with you on that. They were freak of nature, but hopefully we can figure out what date we'll be filling up that little question mark in the schedule. Other new dates this year, we head to the Iowa Speedway. That will be very interesting. That will be June 24th, the High V250. And the London Court Trophy has moved from Brands Hatch to Silverstone, the historic Silverstone circuit, in just about an hour and a half outside of London. Glad to be heading there for the running of the London Court Trophy.
And that'll be a fun track. Definitely a different venue, foster different kind of racing than what we saw at Brands Hatch. It might be a little bit better. I know some people were having some issues with a bump or two, blowing engines kind of suddenly. So I think, going to Silverstone will be a nice change of pace, and it'll definitely mix things up a little bit.
Absolutely, absolutely. And our season finale will wrap up in the Windy City, Chicago, Illinois. Chicagoland Speedway will be the new finale for the CORT Training Paints Championship Series after team owners voted to swap the Chicago event with the date that is now on June 8th, I believe. The date that is in question, June 3rd, my apologies. So, basically, in short, Chicago moves to the finale. The date that is now opened up and was the old finale has now swapped to June 3rd, and we will cover that and a lot more when we come back from the break, as CORT held its first owner-driver meeting last night. So we will be bringing you a quick rundown of what we talked about, and also, potentially, if I remember this when I post this, we will post the meeting in its entirety after the court report here tonight. So for those of you watching this on YouTube, we will be right back. This is the Court Report, CORTRacing.com.
When you choose a great-tasting Miller Lite, you're choosing on taste, and that's the right choice, not the wrong choice, because right is way better than wrong. You don't try to do the wrong thing. Wrong on, brother? Back off, and I don't even know you. If someone asks you if everything's all wrong, ask them to pull your finger. Ever read the Bill of Wrongs? It was written by James Battison and John Sadams. Drawing a wrong triangle? Place this protractor at 90 degrees and sit on it. What's wrong around the corner? An 8-foot ex-con named Tiny, and he wants your wallet. That's wrong up your alley. Just like the drifter feeding moldy muffin stumps to his 13 hairless cats. Got a wrong hand man? I've got a cousin named Randall with clammy hands. The customer's always wrong? Well, that explains the waiter's creepy grin as I ate my toast. Two wrongs do make a wrong. Am I wrong? Wrong. So don't make the wrong choice. Make the right choice. And choose on taste. Triple hops brewed Miller Lite. Taste greatness. Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Great beer, great responsibility.
Northern Tool and Equipment.
My girlfriend has given me a pet name.
I'm afraid to ask.
Snuggle Muffin.
No, it isn't.
And she uses it in public.
Okay, so give your girlfriend a pet name she'll hate, like Thunder Chunky.
I couldn't do that.
I see. Too harsh for Snuggle Muffin. Okay. Drown her out with a 200-mile-per-hour cordless leaf blower.
Got it. Here she comes.
Hey, Snuggle Muffin. What are you doing, Snuggle? I am so out of here.
Wait. Come back, Thunder Chunky.
There's no problem a little horsepower can't solve. Northern Tool and Equipment.
Hello and welcome back to the CORT Report. I'm your host, David Amboys, and that is John Dragonetti.
I'm hyper.
He's very hyper, and I'm very hyper too. Must have been something with being trapped in the basement 2 weeks ago and being stuck in there and only getting released today.
Yeah.
Which has been possible because we did a meeting last night, which is what we are about to talk about. And it was a good meeting. Really good meeting, honestly. A very productive meeting. Felt really good, and we settled a lot of things. It was a great turnout, and I'd like to thank everyone who made it, as it was very productive.
It was, and honestly, I can't wait to see what the next season yields because of it. I think moving forward from last night, things are only going to look better. I know I said before going into the first season that it's going to be a little bit hard. We're going to have some growing pains, but I think this really helped and definitely is steering us more forward in the right direction.
Absolutely. First things first, and first thing that I would like to get out of the way is this upcoming Monday, the 18th. This upcoming Monday, we will be having a test race at Interlagos. We will be testing out the new road course format, the new CORT 120 format. Hour 20 races, hour 20 excitement, 120% more excitement. I'm a friggin' promoter, right? Aren't I?
Oh yeah, it works though.
120 on the Richter scale. That would be a really powerful earthquake, but I'm everywhere tonight. I apologize, folks.
Just like that guy.
Where was I? Interlagos. It will be just a kind of drop-in race. 120 minutes, or not 120 minutes, hour 20, 80 minutes, hour 20. So be there, and it should be a good one. So go ahead and check it out. We will be testing out all our new rule changes for road courses, which includes 16 gallons on the road courses to help promote pit stops and strategy.
Yeah, that's something that almost everybody unanimously wanted. It was more, less fuel, more strategy, because it kind of keeps things interesting. I know in a couple other road course races, I wasn't there and most of them worked out, you could make it essentially on one stop. So you just kind of had to make it to halfway, and then that was it. But I think with 16 gallons, it's going to make it a lot more interesting. It's going to really make people have to plan out their pit stops and have their strategists really kind of think outside the box in order to get them, good track position.
Another set of rules that was also discussed, and going back to that real quick, what was ironic was that was actually a rule suggested for ovals, and the owner said, we like it, but can we implement it on road courses instead? And it was embraced for the road courses. Ovals will remain with a 22-gallon fuel cell. Also, another rule change, a very controversial moment at Texas, was the pit entry for a select few drivers. And now that has been addressed for every mile-and-a-half event on the CORT training paint schedule. Quickly, what comes to mind is Homestead, Chicago, probably Las Vegas as well, if we do end up going there. It will be mandated to enter the pit lane or make an attempt to go to the pit lane in turn 3 and exit in turn 2 on all green flag pit stops at mile-and-a-half events.
Yeah, it's going to make things a lot more interesting, but for the safety standpoint, it's the right move, definitely. I know it's a little bit hairy at times when you try to call out and just duck down on pit road, so it'll kind of bring a little bit more order to it, especially coming in. Coming off, not so much, but it'll make things a little bit more safe for sure.
Also addressed was the glaring fact that we still do not have a sit-out admin, and at CORT we can fully admit that is a problem, and we are attempting to take steps to help rectify that. And 4 random drivers in each race will be called upon at any time to consult the admins on any incidents in both the Training Paints and National Series starting this week.
Almost like proverbial jury duty.
If you get jury duty, you gotta serve it, and that's how it will be. It will be at random, and we will be starting to enforce that, including tomorrow. So we will be looking forward to that being in effect. Moving down the list quickly. Leader rule, or the leader restart rules, remain the same. It was proposed restart rules be looked at. All owners voted to keep that the same, so leaders will dictate the restarts as they once were.
Yeah, and that's definitely what we should have done, because I know if we kind of made it on green, it kind of makes sense, but at the same time, it kind of gives the opportunity for someone to jump the start, because they can count down when it's going to happen and try to get, I guess, an unfair advantage. Whereas if we keep it how it is, and we did, fortunately, it kind of eliminates that. So when you see the leader go, then you probably should go, otherwise you're going to get run over.
Absolutely. And also, possibly the most influential rule of them all that we announced tonight, or last night. There will be a locked-in system for the Trading Paints Triple Crown events. Basically, the way that it will work, we start a maximum of 36 cars. That means that it will be a 25 and 11 rule as far as who makes it in and who makes it out. The top 25 drivers in CORT Trading Paints Series points going into the events will be locked in. 26 and on back, you have to race your way in. That includes spot entries. So if you're a spot entry coming in, you're going to have to race your way in the show with the other 26 and under guys.
Which makes sense and keeps it fair, because if you haven't been there for a long time and you just expect your way in, you probably shouldn't do that, because it's, you got to earn it. And I know for the people that raced in season 1 and got up into the top 25, it's tough. It is not easy at all. So it definitely kind of keeps everything fair.
Absolutely, and not only that, John, but it also promotes the fact that some of us have sponsorship. I know you with Control Freak. I know Chris Sweat with Grind Boss. There is sponsorship in this league that is expecting to be at these major events, and it is a very big coup to be in these broadcasted events. So for you guys to be locked into every broadcasted race in the 2013 season, of course every race is broadcasted on TSTV, but the main races are the Triple Crown, obviously. For you guys to be locked in is a major coup.
And it's 127% legit.
Yep, 127%. That's a real number. He calculated it. He used Google. Speaking of Google, you should have laughed at how we were trying to figure out how to get to 16-gallon fuel cells using the fuel cell weight penalty type deal on the iRacing hosted session last night. That was a 15-minute debate as to how to do it.
Well, you guys use the metric system, don't you?
Yes, but the problem is when I did the calculations, Google saw it as a conversion, and then Will Roberts goes, "Aren't you just trying to divide 22 into 16?" or 16 into 22? And we went, crap.
Yeah, it was a mess. We're not good with math.
Also, just some cleanup work here. Keep your number and sponsor consistent. Fill in all your TBAs for Trading Paint Season 2 by March 15th. I would also like to have a definitive list of owners. You might believe you'd be shocked how difficult that is. A definitive list of owners. I would like a list of that. Just contact me and tell me, hey, I'm the owner. And we are planning on doing another one of these meetings on March 11th, which happens to be the same day as February 11th when we did it this time. But March 11th will be our second court meeting. So if you forgot something or you want to propose something to amend some of these rules, come on down. We're all ears and we're all welcome to hear. We look to do one of these once a month. And obviously when the season kicks off, More than likely, these will move to Tuesday nights once a month in the season, or Wednesday nights or Thursday nights, depending on when we have a hole in the schedule. But yeah, absolutely. Come on down and give them some advice, give us some ideas that you got in mind.
And free food, free snacks.
Yeah, free food. Tyler Tucker brought food. It was very nice. I appreciate Tyler bringing the food. And we look forward to the next meetings in place. So, John, to wrap things up, we got Talladega tomorrow night in the National Series.
Yep.
I don't know, a lot of us catching jets and breaking out the new Delaras all painted up with possibly next season a mix of last season and this season's cars for Interlagos next week, which should be very exciting.
Yes, definitely. I know I'm going to be looking forward to that. I get to show off all my guys' new cars and smell that freshly wrapped body, because it's got that burnt plastic smell that I enjoy ever so much. And it's going to be really cool to see what other... God, I can't talk today. Good to see everybody again and kind of see what they're bringing to the table. Granted, people are probably going to be sandbagging, but whatever. It's going to be fun.
I'm looking forward to breaking out the new Target scheme that we have mocked up. Wrapped up the season with a throwback to 2005, but we're also going to be showing off our scheme for next season. And John, you've seen it. Looks really good.
I've seen drawings. It's nice. It's going to look nice.
Really good. And I'm looking forward to debuting it on Monday. Okay, so that's just about going to do it for the Court Report short one this week, because, well, there wasn't a whole hell of a lot to talk about. Let's actually, before we head off the air, why don't we get an update on Shooty McGee over there in LA? And our update is a guy talking on KTLA 5. Thanks.
Yeah, they got nothing.
Thanks. We don't have any update. If we do, we'll be sure to break into this YouTube video. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and air the meeting from last night. I just want to warn you, there is foul language on this, not for the kiddies. Although if you're listening to this podcast with kids in the first place, why?
Seek mental help.
Why? We shouldn't be around children. Looking at you, Austin LaPlante. But we absolutely appreciate your listenership, and we look forward to helping you guys enjoy your Monday and Wednesdays into the future. So for John Dragonetti, your final thoughts real quick?
Free hat from South Park. You could tell we are absolutely stretching for time this week, folks. No bones about it.
Yeah, it's pretty obvious. No bones about it. But look, we enjoy coming on the air, and mainly it was just coming back on the air after we got kidnapped last week or 2 weeks ago.
You should probably press charges, now that I think about it.
You know, I honestly thought about it, but I have this weird... I feel like I have that Stockholm syndrome. You know, they were actually pretty nice.
I don't know what you're talking about.
They brought me an old official US PlayStation magazine from like 1999. The PlayStation 2 is going to be sick.
Really? I left with lower back pain for some reason.
Well, you should get that checked. Anyways, back on track. Here's the meeting. It's not for the kids. It drags. It's presented without any sort of edit to it. So enjoy. And you have been listening to the Court Report for February 12th, 2013.
Oh, crud, I'm on tape.
Yeah, okay, so, thank you all for coming. This is the first meeting for, court as a whole, as far as teams, owners, drivers, and the like. This is also being recorded for those of you who are unable to make it tonight, and that is obviously down. You're listening to this if that's the case. I'd like to start with our first item of business, and the way that this is going to kind of work tonight, by the way, is just going to suggest it, and you guys are welcome to just kind of jump in and, you know, talk about it. I'd like to talk about the Trading Paints schedule for next season. I'm sure you all have seen it. And the one question that I have for the Trading Paints schedule is, if we do not have Fontana by the time July 29th comes around, would you guys be open to running a different track other than Texas? Because we are looking to remove Texas from the schedule.
I would say do something similar to it, like a Michigan or possibly
Las Vegas.
Yeah, I was going to say Vegas.
That would be Michigan twice, though, right? If we went to Michigan.
Yes.
Well, my thought is we may want to try having Chicago as the last race and have something else in place of Chicago.
I kind of
I'm with Will on that.
Yeah, that could work.
Because personally, just from what I'm hearing, I really doubt that they are going to have it ready in time. I think we might have... Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead. No, go ahead. You were in the middle of something.
I've lost my thought anyway.
Well, maybe put Vegas in place of Chicago and put Chicago at the end, because maybe, putting Vegas at the end of the season, people can see where that would be in poor taste.
Okay.
It's true.
Yes, absolutely. Okay. We could go to Vegas. That is definitely an option. We could swap Chicago from June 3rd to July 29th as well, if we wanted to do that as well. Everything is wide open on the schedule. Also, real quick, London Court Trophy. How many of you guys are open for that to alternate between Brands Hatch and Silverstone and running Silverstone this season?
I like Silverstone this season.
I just say do Silverstone altogether. I honestly just do not like Brands Hatch, especially because like that kind of the same thing with what was that Canadian track we just did? Mossport, where there was that bump thing where you'd hit the bump and then your engine would just blow up.
True.
I say stick with Brands Hatch, but switch it to the Grand Prix course.
I was about to suggest that as well, because the track is longer, and I don't know if there's going to be any issues with it. You can always test it out to see, but a longer track might be an option.
Only thing about that is that's in real life the CORT, or CART. God, I'm saying CORT now instead of CART. They went to the Indy layout instead of the Grand Prix. That's why there is the Indy layout.
Absolutely. Okay. What else here? Other than that, that's just about it as far as the schedule. So, have we all come to an agreement that what we will do is swap Chicagoland with that Texas/Fontana date, and then we'll make it Las Vegas on June 3rd, and then July 29th, Chicago, or Fontana, or just Chicago?
I say Chicago or Fontana.
I say Chicago.
I say Chicago only because I don't expect Fontana.
Have they even scanned Fontana yet?
Yeah, they have.
Yes.
They've scanned it, but as I understand it, Montreal and Kansas
Bathurst.
Kansas,
and
Montreal,
Bathurst
and Bathurst are coming before, so we're kind of at the mercy of of iRacing on that. So, yeah.
For them to pump out 4 tracks in 5 months, that I don't see that happening. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty hard.
Okay, so we'll have it as a we'll have it as a type of deal there.
Although, jumping back to the Vegas topic, I just want to throw this out there. Could we maybe hold off on that until, say, March 25th to decide? Because
Why so late?
There's a lot of venues on my schedule, which we might want to see how they work. Run those as test races. Like Richmond, Kentucky, Dover, Charlotte, Atlanta.
Alright. Okay. Yeah, we we will do that. Hold on just 1 second. I need to give Eric Mickey the TeamSpeak IP. He's going to jump on here. There we go. Okay. All right, and that almost... So what we will do is we will tentatively swap Chicago with the last date. We will move Texas or Fontana, quote-unquote, to June 3rd. June 3rd Chicago date will move to July 29th, and that will be Chicago or Fontana. Or okay, I need a show of hands, okay? Show of hands, who wants just Chicago?
What if it was Las Vegas or Fontana in the middle of the season?
We won't have Fontana by the middle of the season.
All right, that's a good point.
Okay, so second, Chicago or Fontana.
Mm-hmm. I don't think anybody realizes like what you're trying to say here.
Yeah, I'm trying to get people to key up and say I here.
Yeah.
Oh, I was raising my hand.
I changed my description thing.
Okay, yeah, I did catch John. So, okay, we will swap that date and we'll go ahead and make the finale Chicago or Fontana. So Chicago will move to July 29th. July 29th's date will move to June 3rd. And if John, if you're on that page right now, could you just swap that real quick? That'd be great. Or Hayes even on the forums. That'd be fantastic if you could. Okay, second order of business. I was hoping to get a test race in some point the next few weeks at Interlagos. Not sure what Monday we could do it. I don't. Who knows? Maybe even we could do it next Monday, the 18th, if we get enough people. But who would be up to running a full-length, hour, 20-minute race at Interlagos to test out not only the track, but to more importantly test out our road course setup for, like, you know, how we're going to be doing that.
I'm down.
I'm sorry.
Sure.
Yeah, me too.
Are we still doing it after the meeting?
Yeah, we're still going to have a test after the meeting, by the way. Yeah, there will be a test after the meeting.
Where's that going to be?
That's going to be at the Daytona bike course. We're going to try that out.
Again?
I thought it was Otegi.
Yeah, we did this one like last night.
I understand. Yeah, that was confusion. But I think we're going to give it another shot. See, because we got a hell of a lot more people here than we did on Monday. So, or on Sunday or Saturday or whenever we tested. Okay. So, Interlagos seems to be a resounding yes to a test race tomorrow or next week.
Sounds good.
It just depends on the day. I don't know. I might be able
Monday,
to.
Michael.
Oh, well then, yes, I will probably most likely be able to race.
Okay, cool. So, I'll go ahead and toss up something on the website about that. Not on the website, but on the forums about that. So, just be sure to, yeah. Okay, by the way, I noticed the rulebook now says Husby sucks. Who did that?
Some person.
Okay. Let me see here. I got these all listed out, but then I got a whole bunch of them like last minute, so hang on just 1 second. Sorry guys, I'm the only one with the notes, so
What did you guys all think of the 1 hour 20-minute time distance rule?
Yeah, what do you guys think of that rule? The move to
good.
Too long, too short.
It's good.
Yeah.
That's what I have to say.
I already said I won't be running the road, so...
What was the question?
Abstaining from that.
What do you guys think of the fact that we moved to timed races on road courses?
I'm down.
Yes. I'm not really a fan of timed races ever, but we'll see how it goes, I guess.
I mean, judging from, it was the most recent road race that we have, or that we had, but it seemed pretty similar in length than what we had at Laguna Seca. I believe it ended up to be around the same time.
I'm saying the roller coaster we had this season was about an hour long, but while our over races was about averaging an hour and a half, so we're trying to average it out to the same length.
So, wait, but with the hour and 20 timed, would it work out that we'd most likely have to make multiple pit stops?
Yes.
Yes.
Alright, that sounds good to me then.
Yes, it would kind of even things out there. Okay, so test race and Interlagos. Okay, next item is gonna be it's a little bit of a nitpick, I'm not gonna lie. We got a whole bunch of we got a lot of painters here, and I'd like to see if there's anyone out in the cards to see if we want to mandate a rule to have at least a minimum of 4 to 6 associate sponsors on cars. I bring this up because I noticed multiple times last season that we had cars that just had one logo on it, just repeated.
Here's the thing with that. What if somebody wants to run a sponsorless car?
Okay.
They're kind of like glued on that.
Wow.
That is a very good point. Never really thought of that one, Julian.
I don't know anybody that's driven sponsorless cars in leagues before.
I did that.
Kyle Young.
Yeah.
Okay, so disregard that. Let's move on. This one just kind of depends on how the test goes tonight, so I'll skip that. Husby's Thunder Cunts is not something that we're going to cover in this meeting.
What the fuck?
Yes. Okay, now we're getting into not touchy ground, but we're going to get into differing opinions on this. I'd like to talk about our intentional wrecking rules.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
God.
Come on.
I was not aware Hank Hill was going to be attending the meeting.
Yes, I was not aware either. Okay, so intentional wrecking. I got one suggestion saying that intentional wrecking is an immediate ban from the league. And then I got another suggestion, which I think is the one that I think you guys would agree with, is 1 lap penalty on a road course, stop and go on ovals for a first offense. A second offense is a point deduction and probation, and then a third offense is suspension and or banned for the remainder of the season.
We basically got to look at it 2 ways. We got to look at if it happens during a race, what will happen then and there during the race, and then a separate penalty after the race.
Either way, it's better to have.
Oops.
No, go ahead.
Definitely see just straight up banning a person is a bit harsh.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah. I kind of. Sorry.
I was gonna say I think for the first time you should do a pass through and probation. Second time you should be parked and suspended. Third time you should be banned.
I like what Pete said.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I was going to suggest, because if, at least in my eyes, I feel that if you have like a pass-through penalty or like a lap hold for a first offense, that's almost just kind of like a slap on the wrist deal. What I was going to suggest is if there's any catching of an intentional wreck, I would suggest being parked for the remainder of the race and apt to further penalties after the race.
Yeah, I think that points penalties need to happen with all of those. Like, if we're going to have tiers, I think there has to be some kind of points deduction.
Well, what I said was first time you get a pass-through penalty under green and a probation. Second time you get suspended and parked. Third time you get banned.
I kind of go with Pete said, but perhaps like if somebody intentionally wrecked someone and they took somebody else that wasn't involved in the conflict to park them for the rest of the race without even giving them a chance to, get their lap back or any penalties, just park.
How long would the first offense probation be?
Month.
I have a question regarding how to decide like what is intentional and what's not. Do we have a sit-out admin to review things as the race is happening and to give the correct black flag penalty mid-race if that's what is how things will be handled?
Right now, we still don't have a sit-out admin. That's kind of been hot topic lately. Not gonna lie.
Right, because I think it would be kind of difficult. I mean, especially because it's going to come down to what David or John or one of the other people with admin privileges in the race to have to give out that black flag. So to do like a black flag and to do, especially if you're going to have like a stop and go for a certain amount of time, that's going to take away from you being able to just race. So that's something that needs to be thought about, as well as what kind of tier system, which is definitely, I think, the right way to go, as far as, you look at it as first offense, second offense, third offense, and, discuss the situation as it goes so that the admins can kind of decide where people are on the you're going to get banned level type of thing, because it could just be a disagreement two guys have, and they can settle it and work it out themselves and might not need the admins to get involved, but it could also go the other way. So you should definitely be talking about any situation like that with the admins after the race.
Okay. Well, like I was saying, we absolutely, a Cito admin is a major priority right now. It's the one thing that's kind of holding us back when it comes to making rule decisions like that. It's difficult, especially with us, because can't really, well, you can, but realistically, competitively, you can't really sit out, go to the pits, sit, watch the replay, form an opinion, and then go back out without losing a lap or anything. As far as, Cito admin is concerned, we're still on the fence about that. I mean, I wanted a Cito admin, obviously, but the problem is it's tough to get someone who will volunteer to sit out for 17 races, to watch 17 races and have to deal with the BS that happens afterwards.
I have an idea. This is just an idea.
Okay.
For the time being, when we don't have a sit-out admin, how about something like if more than 2 people saw you do it, or let's say 3, for example, and it appeared intentional, and the driver that got wrecked felt it was intentional, then you do the in-race penalty.
Nobody agrees with you.
Okay, we don't need a Hank Hill. Come on. Last warning.
Extra serious thought. Have y'all ever? I know this isn't technically possible, but would y'all consider maybe red flags? So admins could take a look at something like that, like everyone parks in the pits.
You see that really
take way too long.
It's time consuming.
Especially since if all the races are broadcast next season,
Yeah.
that's not something we want to do.
I forgot about the fact that all races are broadcasted next year. Yeah, that we absolutely cannot do that.
Okay.
Oh, and they're stopping again. Oh,
yeah.
Dave, go quicker. Form an opinion better. No, but I would like to get a Cito admin. If everyone is welcome to volunteer.
I would volunteer for the road races for the Indy cars, since I suck at those.
I got a friend on Facebook named Wesley that sits out in admins for $20.
No, you can end that there. You can end that discussion there.
Jesus.
No, but is my idea just BS or what?
Yep. I get where you're from, Husby, but I could totally see there being kind of a buddy system where people just kind of team up on someone.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
See, and this is no offense to you guys, but when it comes to an intentional wrecking deal, and we go to that, who says the two guys behind the guy who intentionally wrecked? Okay, let's say person A is the intentional wrecker, and then person B is the intentional wreckee. C and D are behind them. What makes C and D not side with person A if person A wrecks person B?
True.
So, like, don't get me wrong, I appreciate everyone's opinion here. That's partially why we're having this meeting. But I don't know if that will gel or fly, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, you could get like two really biased people like that.
Exactly.
Yeah, it could be teammates or something like that, you know?
Yeah,
So then why don't we...
something, team speak, mates, I don't know, you know?
Yeah.
Why don't we just try to, just for the time being, like, I guess Will kind of suggested with the National Series, just find like a couple of people or try a couple of people that are interested or know anything about like sit-out adminning just to see how it works. Not to like give them control, but just get their opinion on like different situations and whatnot.
Yeah. Probably throw an ad on iRacing forums for it.
Wouldn't hurt. Wouldn't hurt. I've never even thought of that.
To be honest, we're going to have a bunch of guys sitting out next season broadcasting. Is there any way that they can perhaps look into anything for us?
As someone who has broadcasted, you're too busy focusing on making a normal broadcast. You can't really...
I think the first step is see if anybody is actually willing to sit out. Like I said, I'd be willing to sit out for the IndyCar road races, which is not a problem. Then you got to find somebody else to fill in the rest of the races, plus the National Series. So I would go the route of finding somebody who's actually willing to sit out for every race. And if nobody's interested, and then I would go to the iRacing forum and say, hey, you know, we're looking for people, I would say probably admin experience to sit out, to watch our races, and, you know, here's the rules, here's what we're looking for, you know, help us out a little bit, and just see if anybody's interested through there.
A third party would be good.
Yeah, I like Will's...
Oh, go ahead.
I like Will's idea of testing it out on the National Series too. You know, if you do put that ad out there, let them do a couple of National Series races or whatever, you know, to see if they actually can do it.
Now, Dave, you say they're really busy. Well, then if they couldn't, you know, do all the key commands and stuff for us, perhaps you could have one of them. Like, if they see something that happens on track, they're going to know whether it's intentional or not. You could easily get one of them to just pull you into their channel for a second and get them to tell you, hey, that was intentional. You should take a look into this.
Have we even had anybody ever
Rather than
intentionally?
Yes.
Rather than...
Because I've never seen it, I was just asking.
Yes, we have. Okay.
Well, I got an idea, actually.
All right.
Without having to get someone from the outside, granted, that's probably going to be a little bit hard. Why not do kind of what we've been doing, somewhat? The first person that wrecks out and is, like, done has to sit out admin.
As far as us?
Yeah.
3? 4?
Well, no, just generally, anybody.
I wouldn't trust everybody.
I was actually
like all y'all,
thinking-
but I wouldn't trust everybody here.
Yeah, I was thinking something similar to that, John. I was thinking that maybe alongside to the sit-out admin, like the first driver completely out of the race could be like the guest steward and kind of, you know, not actually have admin powers, but be able to talk over possible penalties with the admin.
Exactly.
I do like that.
Oh, there you go.
An advisor. I do like that. Write that down. Write that down. I like that.
Like F1 has a driver that like talks with the stewards, like something like that.
Like an Anthony Davidson type guy. Yeah, I like that. Write that down. That's something that we should definitely talk about further. So we're all on the thought of a 1 lap penalty on roadies, stop and go on ovals. First offense, second offense is a point deduction and probation. Third offense is suspension or ban for the remainder of the season.
I think it'd be a 1 lap penalty on ovals as well.
Well,
stop
a stop and go would pretty much be a 1 lap.
So stop and go on the green. Okay.
It carries the same weight.
How about no stop and go and no eligibility for Lucky Dog?
Yeah, that's the other thing I was going to say was if you do a stop and go under green, you shouldn't be eligible for the Lucky Dog because who says you don't get to stop and go a lap down, next you know a caution comes out and you're the first car a lap down.
At least on the next caution.
I still think if somebody's gonna commit an intentional wreck, and if somebody else not involved in the conflict between these drivers gets involved in the intentional wreck, like you have driver A and B, they're fighting, and then driver A wrecks driver B, and then driver C comes through and gets tagged by whatever's going on, I think the person that commits the intentional wreck should be parked for the rest of the race. Because you're bringing somebody else into it.
It all depends on the severity of the incident.
Yeah, I agree with Julian, but I also agree with Andrew. Like, I think it all depends on how severe of an intentional wreck we're talking about. Like, if it's somebody that is pissed off at another driver, and they intentionally wreck somebody and take out, like, half the field or whatever, then that's a different story. But if it's just two drivers going at each other, and if, let's say, driver A wrecks driver B at some point in the race, and driver B retaliates and intentionally wrecks him, and driver A's race isn't over, you're still penalizing driver B, who, driver A's race might not be over, but his chance of winning could be slim, so you just took away the chance for the other guy to win too.
I just wanted to get in here because I heard, I just came back and I just heard the talk about how to penalize people, whether they should get Lucky Dog back and stuff like that. And just remember when we're talking about all this stuff that we have to assume that we're not going to have like a specific sit-out admin as of the moment. We don't. So whatever is decided, don't discount the fact that it's going to be on the admins who are also focusing on their own race to try to keep all of this under control and in their head. So make sure David and John, and I'm sorry if I'm missing other people, but they're the two that I think of right away. Make sure that whatever is decided is stuff that you guys know, that between all of you guys you'll be able to keep on top of. Because if there's, say, an intentional wreck or something like that at one point, and we go a while without a caution, and the thing comes out, who's gonna? It could be confusing and get to that point where you're gonna want to take a step back out of the car and try to think about what needs to be done as far as fitting in with the new rules we brought on and all that other stuff. While also taking care of your own race. So just remember, whatever is decided on how we're going to handle it, it needs to be something that the admins can do quickly and simply from their racing, racing seat.
Okay. Yeah. Well, we were talking about the potential of not necessarily. Well, basically, it would work in a case where the first person who falls or who is out of the race is required to stay to be almost an advisor to the administrators as far as making a decision, but there's a chance for that being fully biased calls. I mean, it's very hot topic, obviously. I mean, everyone wants a fair race and a fair playing field. And, yeah, I mean, so what,
Dave,
yes.
My only thing is with the whole first person out of the race would be required to be an advisor or whatever. See, it's not a bad idea, but I think that what happens if you get into a situation where you really don't have anybody out of the race until later on, and it's somebody who's running top 5, and they get wrecked, and they're just mad and pissed off and all that. If that was me, I wouldn't want to be sitting there adminning, because if somebody, whether it's intentional or not, if you get involved in an accident, you're not going to want to sit there and watch and make calls, because you might target somebody to have them get in trouble.
I'd say maybe get the first person out of the race willing to do it, but I don't know. You might get people that are not willing to do it.
Yeah.
It's just you know, you get involved in something and you don't necessarily want to stick around because you might get pissed off. So,
yeah,
that's just something to think about.
Okay, go ahead, Husby.
Okay, last thing I'm gonna say. Another possibility. Okay, another possibility is have backup admins. So then, let's say like even if you guys can make the race, like have those guys be in there as available admins. Like, so then if they do fall out, then they have the seniority to like make the calls. If you know what I'm saying.
I would love that. For one reason and one reason only. I'm not sure how much free time I'm going to have if I do end up moving to Toronto or not. So, yeah, I do like that idea, but I'm not sure if how would you guys feel if we added more admins? They wouldn't be full-time administrators. It would be a case of they fall out of the race and they just oversee, or one of us can't be there and they just replace.
If it's like guys that we could trust kind of thing.
Would.
Yeah, then I think that's a good idea.
I say we should put it out there, have people put in names for people they would like to see as admin, and then have the, like, you, Dave, and John, and Hayes, and Sweat, you guys vote on which ones you think would be the best ones, and then go from there. But I think you should leave it up to people to be nominated for those positions.
Well,
When it,
go ahead.
I was gonna say, when it comes to, you know, somebody getting out of the race and having to be the advisor, why not, before each race, pick 4 drivers out of the field and just say, hey, we might need you at some point in this race for your opinion on something. Because you pick 4 drivers that are going to maybe be spread out throughout the field that might be able to have eyes on everything. And
that's not a bad idea.
Write that one down.
Change it out. I would change it up every week. That way you don't get really a biased opinion.
I like
Julian's idea better.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
And it'll just be
throw.
Like, look, everyone has to do it at some point. It's jury duty.
I wouldn't say make it for like when they're out of the race. Just like
consult.
If we're in the race and somebody intentionally wrecks or something happens on the track, we'll have a channel set up for, say, the advisors or something where everybody can go to and talk about something that happened on the track.
Yeah, we could, because of the iRacing chat function, we could add that. Okay, we got to move along. We spent way more time than I thought we were gonna on that one. So,
Pete, check text.
Okay. Okay. Pit entry rules.
You say check text?
Check, like the bottom of the thing. Sorry, Dave.
Pit entry rules, specifically on ovals. How about, do you guys want to consistently enforce these? Do we want it where you have to come on the backstretch and leave and come back out on the backstretch every time? Some tracks don't have aprons to come in on the backstretch, though. The first track that immediately comes to mind is Milwaukee. So, what do you guys think? What do you guys think about pit road entry?
I have a question, first of all. Is this just regarding trading paints or like all divisions?
This is mainly trading paints tonight.
Don't forget the pit road thing I was talking about yesterday with the super speedways.
I agree with the exiting on the backstretch or at the safest, reasonable part of the track. 'Cause I mean, I know like Pocono is like one of those places, but I think for pit entry, I think it's just some places it's obviously harder than others, and I honestly thought that it was, I mean, I wasn't around for first pit stops in the Texas race, but just the thought of having to pit out of turn 3 seemed a little bit more dangerous than it was safe. I mean, because a lot of the times drivers aren't used to having to pit off of, dive onto the apron in turn 3 where they're coming into a corner at full speed and then trying to brake on a flat surface and trying to keep the car down there from hitting people and then getting down into pit speed. I mean, I know that Texas and Charlotte and Atlanta, a track like that, it's harder to get onto pit road, but I just think trying to stop your car down on the apron is more of a threat to the rest of the field than it is a safety benefit.
If you watch any like old IRL races or kart races or even IndyCar today, on an oval like that, like Texas or anything, they do use turn 3 to slow down.
Yeah, in Texas for sure. Indy cars usually. Doesn't Texas now have lines, dash lines on the backstretch entering 3? I think.
I think they do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I think that's the nature of the pack racing, though. Like, I could see if we go to Texas again or another track like that ends up being pack racing, I think that entering on 3 would be better.
Well, specifically, the rule was suggested mainly for a issue where drivers were straddling the white line of the apron and the racing surface to maintain speed and then come in. So for that, I would like to propose this. How about for every 1.5 miles that we go to, that's pretty much a D shape. You can't say Homestead and Motegi if we ever go back to the Motegi Oval. You can't really, do what I'm about to propose. But for places like Atlanta, Charlotte, Texas, Kentucky, Chicagoland, the D ovals, the 1.5 miles generic dime a dozen
tri-ovals.
Yeah, tri-ovals. What about entry in 3 and exit out of 2? Period.
Yes.
Don't like it.
Okay, why?
I like that because it's well, it's got to either be that or it's got to be the other way, off of 4 right directly out of pit road. It should be like one or the other, but I think the big scare that everyone had with Texas was, I don't personally know if it was talked about amongst everyone until the drivers' meeting 5 minutes before we raced, so people didn't have time to practice it or get used to it. I practiced it on my qualifying run and knew exactly what I had to do after just the one time of trying it. So I think if people know beforehand and actually just take a couple attempts at it, it's not going to be as big a deal as some people might be afraid that it would be. You just have to be smart about it. That's all it comes down to. And if you can't judge how you could, or practice and then be able to judge in the race how to get into pit road that way, then there's more of a problem, and it's not with the rule. It's going to be, from yourself, really. It's like, it was pretty simple, if you ask me, that after taking one run through there, or if you had to try it for the first time in race, so what? You have to give up a little bit at first to try to slow yourself down a little, to make sure you don't come back out onto the track. But as far as I'm concerned, that's one of those things that when the rule is decided, it's up to the drivers to figure out how to make it work. And entering on in 3 and exiting off of 2 at those types of tracks are stuff that we drivers can make work if we practice it when we need to.
Okay.
I think I agree with that 1.5 mile rule for the most part, because honestly, other than those tracks, we're not really seeing that kind of pack racing like we did at Texas. Like that.
If you can't give advance warning that you're pitting and then pit safely from the bottom lane, you shouldn't be racing. Period. We've been doing it for years. It's not a new concept.
Yeah.
I'd rather pit off the lane than risk somebody maybe washing up off the access road and smashing into someone.
So I was going to say, that's probably the biggest problem with entering off of 3 is someone's going to be a dumbass and overdo it and end up sliding up the track.
And someone can't be a dumbass slowing up in the front of pack, or someone behind them in a pack doesn't hear that they're coming into pit road, or, because they're too caught up in making sure they're doing everything right. You're running into the situation both ways.
Yeah, but if you've been doing it for long enough, If you've been doing it for long enough, it shouldn't be a problem. That's the way we've been doing it for 10 years.
Yeah.
That's the same way with entering in 3. And I personally, I don't care either way it goes. I think it's going to work out fine no matter which way it goes. I just think it needs to be, black and white. This is how it needs to be done.
Michigan's 5 lanes wide. Michigan's 5 lanes wide. If you can't do it there, then...
Do we want, maybe suggesting this, maybe we write a track rulebook, quote-unquote, as far as, okay, this is our procedure at short tracks, this is our procedure at mile and a halves, this is our procedure at Michigan and Fontana, this is our procedure at road courses. Something like that?
I would support that.
Yeah, what are you doing in a stock car? You're not going to make us come in in 3 on the apron in a stock car.
This is a training paints rule we're talking about right now. This is a training paints rule.
Yeah, but still,
I don't see the pit entrance thing being too much of a problem, except at tracks like Texas where we were getting that pack racing. I mean, I could totally see how someone could either forget to announce that they were pitting or something like that, and the next guy behind them is right on him and they got 3 or 4 cars behind him, and that could cause a problem. But other than that, I don't think it would be a problem entering off of 4.
How about, I don't know how to say this, but, basically, if it risks the safety of the cars that are behind you... Well, actually, that sounds stupid.
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
But
Use your head, don't be a dipshit.
On a track-by-track basis, let's say, if it risks, if pit entry risks the, entering off a turn 4 risks the safety of everybody having a clean pit stop and not causing a giant pileup, and then, enter in turn 3. But if that's not the case, then enter in turn 4.
I kind of support the mile and a half thing enter at 3. The only track I'm not too sure about that is Kentucky, because I'm not sure how bumpy the apron is there. I kind of forget. I know the track itself is really bumpy, but I forget if the apron is just as bumpy or not.
Well, with Kentucky, we have the option. We could mandate the access road on pit entry. There is a access road in turn 3.
There is an access road at Kentucky, yes.
I'm nervous about access roads.
I mean, at least this way it's off of the track. It shouldn't be that big of an issue.
There's only one
with people crashing up into the track, and it's a pretty decent surface for people to get slowed down in a safe manner.
Yeah, Kyle, there's only one problem. We don't go to Kentucky.
Then why the hell are we talking about Kentucky?
No, I brought it up.
I brought it up. I'm sorry.
Kentucky's fried chicken?
Maybe in future seasons we could have Kentucky in there.
It could be possible.
Yeah. Okay. So show of hands / say something. Enter in 3, exit in 2 on mile and a halves only.
Wait, say that again.
Okay. Enter in 3, exit in 2 on mile and a half ovals only. Aye.
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 What?
Aye. Sure.
I don't know what I'm voting for. What am I voting for?
Just say yes, Pete.
I hate everything.
I'm against.
Okay.
You
Yes,
know how I feel.
weigh the nose. Write that down. All mile and a halves in the Training Paint Series. Entry will be in 3, exit will be in 2. Moving on, because this is running way late. Way later than I thought it would. Other thing is, this is a suggestion I got. Reducing the fuel capacity for the Training Paint Series on ovals to 16 or 18 gallons from 22 gallons.
That would make it more realistic, because I think they only run 18 gallons now.
I just missed whatever you guys said, sorry.
The reduce fuel capacity of 16 or 18 gallons compared to 22, which is what we currently run.
I think at the ovals, I think maybe the other way around if you reduce it at road courses to get more pit stops, but at ovals I think it's fine.
Anybody else on this?
Yeah, I agree with that. I'd say lower it at road courses, but leave it for ovals.
Yeah, I agree, because you don't really need more pit stops on ovals, honestly.
We got, well, how many
But
pit
when you
stops
think
would we
about
have?
it,
Sorry.
what's the benefit to having more pit stops on road?
Strategy. It makes strategy more of a factor.
Well, yeah, I didn't mean to suggest that we should. I'm just saying that if we were to do that, I think should be more for the road courses than the ovals, because we already get like 3 to 4 pit stops on ovals anyway. Where we only had 1 on the road courses.
Yeah, strategy.
Going back to those 1.5-mile tracks in pack racing, part of why I thought of reducing the fuel is it could work for especially places like that is when it comes to pack racing, if you have to pit sooner, that means more pit stops, which means more opportunity for people to make up time and also lose time if you're bad at getting onto pit road and stuff like that. Where if you're out there running flat-footed, you're not going to really gain or lose much time either way. So it gives a little bit more of an opportunity to gain or lose time in that sense on those types of races. And having to pit more where people will be separated because not everybody can get to pit road and out of pit road at the same rate of speed will break up the packs a little bit. And if we get 20-car fields, we won't have 20-car pack from the beginning to end. So that's just something to consider when thinking about that.
I could be wrong, but I'd rather be racing in a 20-car pack than a 2-car breakaway.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So just to clear this up, we're not doing road courses, right? With the fuel.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm trying to figure out now. Okay, so do you guys want to reduce it on ovals or road courses or both?
Road courses.
Road only, in my opinion.
Road only.
I think, like reduce it to 18 for road courses.
Just something I want to throw on there. Since we're actually extending the races basically with the hour 20 time, because I think you said it was only like an hour maybe. Well, we're going to be lengthening the races, therefore we're already adding more pit stops. So
honestly, 20 minutes might not be another pit stop in some of these places.
Yeah, but
like most road courses, you can easily run about 45 minutes on a whole tank.
Yeah.
I think.
Like Lagunas, I could prove that one.
Okay, quick. One-word answers. Oval, road, both. Road.
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 Road. Road.
Both.
Neither.
I say both.
Neither.
Okay. I heard more road than anything.
Yeah, I think it was definitely road.
Okay.
Yeah. I'd agree with that.
All right, so we're going to have half of those races. Okay, make sure to write that down, John. Reduce it. You know what? Fuck it. 16 on roadies.
Well, we get to try that at Interlagos, right?
Yes, exactly. That's the other benefit to this test race. We can actually try out the new fuel rule.
Can we like maybe like judge it on like maybe about 25 minutes to a half hour on a tank?
But there's the problem of some racetracks are longer, some racetracks are shorter. Then we're playing with the fuel level at every track.
Yeah.
I say let's just leave it at 16 and go from there. Okay. Moving on. Next item I got is a test for Okayama. How many of you guys would be open for that down the road? Maybe
Absolutely.
later on this week?
Yeah, a test for sure. Sounds good to me.
Sure.
Depending on what it is, I could do it.
Yes.
I mean, it needs to be if I'm home, I can do it.
Okay.
Can I kind of give my reasoning for throwing that out there? Yeah. Well, I Dave about that just like 2 minutes before the meeting started. I was painting some cars earlier, and I decided to go down Oklahoma with it. And the IndyCar runs pretty well there. There's no actual setup for it. I don't know how the setups are working here at the moment. So, but the car runs pretty well there. It's a pretty easy road course track. It's not overly technical. It might be good to maybe test there, and maybe consider putting it on the schedule. It's a free track. If you put it earlier on in the season, you might get more people for that race, since it's a free road course track. There's not too many of those with the sim.
The full, we could replace it with ring.
The full layout, right? At Oklahoma?
More than likely, full layout. And I always want to have at least one free track on the schedule. Right now we don't have any, so...
Oklahoma, actually, that probably could be a good race, because it's a pretty good track. I mean, you get that long straight down the back up to that braking zone with the hairpin.
It's a pretty wide course. There's lots of room for side-by-side racing when that's going to happen, and it's a pretty fast course too. And like I said, it's not technical, so you shouldn't see people flying off the course all the time. Like
a couple of first turns would be very slick on hitting the gas.
Of course, the stats are down right now, but
that's just the IndyCar in general. It doesn't have a lot of low-level grip.
But where Twin Ring is so early in the season, and it's a road course race. Road course races have a tendency to churn people away, I find. And if you're going to have it at the second race of the season, why not make it a free track, right? That way, people aren't turned off by having to go buy Twin Ring, even though I'm sure it's great. I haven't bought it yet, but,
I like the road course at Twin Ring. Sorry, just had to say that.
I would like to buy Twin Ring and get to see what it's like. It's just...
I wouldn't be opposed to putting Oklahoma in its place, though, because I think it could be a good track. It's got some good passing zones. It's got some straightaways.
I would too. Does it have a setup?
I think he said it doesn't.
It doesn't have a setup from what I saw, but there's so many road course setups now. We can probably find something that works on it.
Okay. All right. Okay. We'll work on it. We'll come back to it. I definitely want to have a test there. Julian, whenever you want to let us know when you want to do it, just let me know and I'll throw it up.
I think the setup I tried was for Brands Hatch. And it ran pretty well. It was a little bit tight in spots, but maybe loosen it up a little bit.
Okay, yeah, we could set it to open setup and work on it. Okay. Two last things real quick, because I gotta go clean the kitchen, and my folks are gonna be home soon. Do the restart rules need to be clarified? Is everyone okay with leader taking off whenever instead of at the green? Do you guys want a change as far as the restart rules go? If you remember, we had it originally where the leader dictated it, or whenever the pace car got behind the pit wall, we went originally. Then we swapped it to leader dictates the restart. Would you guys prefer us to stay with that or go on green?
Wait, is it only for restarts or also for that initial start?
It's for everything, Joseph.
Okay.
Leader dictates.
Leader.
Leader.
Personally, I feel like the initial start should be on green, but all the restarts after that I think should be on the leader.
That's what I was just about to say. I agree with Joseph.
What about lapped cars being stuck in the middle of the pack during a restart? Does anybody want to say anything about that?
That rarely happens nowadays, especially when you're single file.
Yeah, but I'd like to see them at the back of the pack.
The lap cars or the leaders?
Yeah. The lapped cars being stuck in the middle of the pack.
This is a simple rule change. Lap cars, duck down on the start. Problem solved.
Can you use single file lap cars at rear? Is that an option?
That's what we do right now.
You could EOL them.
You have three options. You can have single file lap cars at rear, which is what we do. Single file lap cars on inside, and double file. And we use lap cars single file. Or lap cars in the back single file.
Well, then I don't understand what the problem is.
Well, the problem is the actual launching of the restart. Should it be when the leader dictates, or on the green? I say we keep it. It ain't broke, don't fix it. But it was brought up to me that we should talk about it.
Keep it.
I say
keep it. Sounds good.
Yeah.
Everyone agree to that?
Yep.
Yeah.
So we'll just keep that the same. Finally, last thing is and it's kind of tough, but provisional rules for the Trading Paints series and the CORT National Series for that matter. But that's a whole nother bucket of worms that we can address later on in the off season for that series.
I'm a little confused by what you mean there.
Provisional rules?
Yeah, like I'm confused why we actually need those.
Okay.
I have a question, and then I can give you guys an incredibly easy answer that makes sense. What's our field limit?
It is 36 cars, I believe, for the Trading Paint series, which is
so
amazing.
Then. Oh, I'm at National. I don't have a damn clue.
Oh,
National.
National's 30.
Okay, so then we'll do regular points. So rather than having like a max of whatever the fuck 33, just do a regular 43. And then to be eligible for a provisional, I don't know how you want to do it as far as like if a person can't make a race or whatever.
That's generally why we would have them, yeah. Instead of
You're talking about provisional points.
But either way,
yes.
If you know you can't make a race, and there's a legitimate reason, you get 5 per season, like 3 or 5 per season, whatever. If you know you can't make a race, when you do your sign-in, you say, I need to take provisional 1 of whatever. And then for that race, you get 5 points. I mean, that's pretty straightforward. That way you get an amount. It's not significant, but it's something. So it carries a good amount of weight, but not enough to actually affect, the race outcome. Because if you did something where you have a regular point system how it is now, and a provisional is last place points, that's just stupid. That's retarded.
Is the point system changing from
No.
the top 12 getting points in the race?
No, John.
No, this is national.
Yeah, John, this is about Trading Paints, man.
I have a fucking clue about Trading Paints.
We need to iron out a provisional system for Trading Paints.
Provisional systems is pointless in Trading Paints because only top 12 gets points. So if
Exactly.
there's 20 guys in the race and 2 of them can't show up, it don't matter.
Yeah, you'd have to rearrange the entire point structure, and I think I don't know, I may be biased, but I thought it was fine the way it was. I like the idea of only the top 10 or 12 getting points. It works in Formula 1, it works, I don't know, I just think that's a fine system, but you can look at other ways and other point systems from other series and kind of try to figure something out where everybody will basically score points and then come up with some kind of provisional thing, but that would depend on what everyone thought about the point system and how this season worked out.
Would you guys be open for a different point system in the CORT Trading Paint series?
If it makes sense.
I'm fine with it.
Yeah, I'm alright with that points.
I would say I would only have to worry about a provisional system with Trading Paints if the car counts were appropriate to give out provisionals, and I don't see that happening at all with the way the field, the amount of people we get for the fields here.
Well, we usually get about 20 a race nowadays for the Trading Paint series, so
The only way you could do it is if everybody got points and you just raise the point scale. That's literally it. That's the only way. And then do like a 3 to 5, but I don't know.
Now, I know when we talked about the Indianapolis race, when it looked like we were going to have way more augmented cars than we're going to start, I think now that we have had a full season of that, you could look at situations similar to that for the future of the series and have locked in positions for those particular races that may draw that many people. But those are the only ways that I think provisionals in any sense would be appropriate for the Trading Paint Series.
Almost like a 25-8 rule, kind of like what the IRL instituted when they formed the Indy 500 there.
I guess, I don't know. I just mean like with the, if you've been around and if you've been committed to the league, especially through an entire season, then it would kind of suck if for some fluke reason that you weren't able to participate in one of the biggest races. So, yeah, I think especially if someone showed up for every single race, I think they should be guaranteed, to race all races that they enter for next season, assuming that they don't do anything worth being kicked out or banned for.
Yeah.
Okay, so how many of you guys would like to see a lock-in system for the Indy 500 or Indy 250, or just the Triple Crown in general?
Yeah, just in general race conditions, or whatever. Those are the only races I think will have a problem with that. So at least while the league is still building, but I think it makes sense to kind of look at participation from the season we already had.
Okay, so provisional system for Triple Crown.
Wait,
yes,
are we
no, yes?
I'm still confused. Are we only talking about points, or are we talking about a starting spot in the race?
Starting spot for the Triple Crown if you ran the entire court season or whatever. The specifics would come later, but right now, in framework, yes or no?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Who said no?
Me. I don't know. I'm very much in favor of that fastest 33 gets to start the race kind of deal, but I don't really care that much.
Okay. Alright, well, sorry, you got outclassed.
Yeah, it's alright with me.
Okay, so write that down. That just about does it. That's about everything that I got. Any last second things that you guys want to suggest last minute here?
Just, we were talking about provisional points a minute ago for the Trading Paint Series. I think I proposed this before and it might have been shut down. I'm not completely sure. What would y'all say to last place -1?
No.
Like
No.
That's okay. Pete, you about that? No more.
Do y'all get what I mean there? Like
That's
say if we only get 10 cars to show up.
That would actually cost someone a point. Like they would deduct a point. Because if we have 13 people show up, last place gets 0. So.
No, I mean like if there's 11 cars, you can't show up, you get 12th place points.
No, that's dumb. Because then you're awarding them for not showing up. That's stupid in my opinion.
Okay. Thought I'd throw it out there.
Yeah, definitely, and we appreciate it, but it doesn't really work as far as that. Also, a yes, no on restructuring the points, maybe? Yes, no? I say no, personally.
No.
Nah.
No.
Yeah, I think...
Nope. No.
No.
Okay, so... Pete voted via Hank Hill. Okay, so no restructuring the points and a provisional locked-in rule for the Triple Crown for series regulars. Also, real quick, while I got you guys here, March 15th is the last day for TBAs, and I'm including sponsor TBAs in there. So if you have a primary/TBA, I want that TBA filled, or else it is off. Also, team owners, I would like you guys to contact me and tell me that you are the team owner. I would like a list of team owners, because it is incredibly frustrating when I want to talk to a team owner and then I find out I'm not talking to the team owner. And again, March 15th, get your TBAs filled for Trading Paint Season 2. I would like it to stay firm as far as your number, sponsor combinations, and all that to make sure that we're all good with that. Okay?
I think this was a productive meeting.
Yes, it was, and I appreciate everyone for coming out. Absolutely, and I appreciate it, honestly, on just a random Friday or random Monday night to come out and actually shoot the shit with us, and actually it was productive, and it's for the betterment of the Championship Online Racing team. So I'd like to thank you guys for coming out.
Should we do this every off season?
I would like to do it maybe even twice in off season.
Hang on,
Joseph.
Sorry.
I would like to do it even twice in off season, just to make sure, in case we don't get to something and someone goes, "Oh, I forgot," they can bring it up at the second meeting. So how many of you guys would be down for doing another one next month?
Sure. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Awesome.
I was actually gonna say something similar to that. I was gonna say, in the event that we actually do get sit-down admins, that would open up more possibilities to like blocking rules and stuff like that.
Exactly.
I was gonna say, if we do get sit-down admins, maybe we could have a meeting to discuss that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm. What is expected of our sit-out administrator? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm just gonna go ahead and say meeting adjourned, and thank you guys for coming.
Can I go eat now?
Diabetics.
Yes, diabetics.